Good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Bosonko here with my co-host Ibrahim Abalde. And we hope that you all had an amazing New Year, because this is our fourth show since the New Year, 1st of January 2025. And we are super excited to be here. And today, generally, we will just be talking about what happened in 2025 and some of the plans that we have.
You mean what happened in 2024?
What happened in 2024 and the plans that we have in 2025. So, gentlemen, Happy New Year to you, Mr. Ade, and Happy New Year, Ibrahim. How was your New Year? I know you hosted the New Year's Eve gala dinner,
yes.
and you looked smart.
Oh,
and I know you have a Rolex watch now.
Baby,
So
I'm wearing Rolex, man.
yes. So yeah.
Thanks to the donor.
Yes, man xam naa la waaye Rolex bi daal ma seet yow Rolex bi dox na de yéen Ibrahima Balde sol na Rolex de macha allah waaye macha allah xaw ma kana la ko jox de waaye tom kooku ñu ngi laa jaajëfal.
Thank you, appreciate naa ko.
Wow, how was your New Year?
Yes, it was wonderful. I mean, although, as you know, work. I mean, I was here in the morning.
Call that working, rocking your bow tie.
He looked really cute.
No, walk in style. You understand? So I definitely had a good time. It was the gala, as you know, the Q Group gala. It's not a small thing. I mean, it's always good to be there. So it was amazing, alhamdulillah, and we are looking forward to positive vibes this 2025. I mean, no negative vibes. Nila ko dunde.
Noonu nga ko dundee de.
Nila ko dunde.
So, Mr. Ade, how was yours?
Yeah, mine was nice and cool and quiet. I spent most of it kind of on Zoom calls with family around the world. So I have a sister in Miami, one in London, a brother in Chesterfield, and another brother in London, and family in Vegas. My son is in Vegas. My ex-wife is in Vegas. So did a whole bunch of Zoom calls.
Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Oh my
Vegas
God.
family, baby.
Vegas vibes.
Yeah.
I need to go to Vegas
You should go.
someday.
It's just a lovely.
Vegas
Las Vegas.
is chill.
Yeah, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Is it true that
Nevada.
Vegas is the richest, city in the U.S.?
It might be. I'm not sure.
With the-
Miami might challenge it. Miami has lots of millionaires living there.
Yeah.
Vegas has lots of casinos, lots of
Gambling
the whole betting
area.
thing.
In most cities in America, you can't gamble. That's why Vegas is popular, because people can go there and they can gamble there. But yeah, it's one of these odd things about America, where in many cities they don't allow casinos. So, but Vegas has. There are a few places that do have.
In the U.S., we got Vegas and Miami.
Vegas.
In the Gambia, we got Senegambia.
Yeah.
Sierra Leone,
Everybody has.
What do we get in Sierra Leone?
We have Freetown.
Freetown.
Yeah,
It's also
Freetown.
chill.
Oh, okay.
Lumley Beach.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Yeah.
In Nigeria, you have Banana Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Mr. Ade, did you go out
Not
to
on New
eat
Year's.
out
Not
on New Year
Year's.
just to have fun?
Not on New Year's. I was so tired that
Oh.
I could barely remember my
Oh.
own name.
So it
that
was a
day.
lazy one.
It's a laid back one.
Yeah.
It really was. I just took it easy. Yeah.
I took it easy as well.
Yeah.
You know, because for some reason, I just wanted to rest, because I didn't want to go through the whole challenge of Senegambia, the traffic and everything.
I dreaded that.
So I was like, let me just be home and just relax. And, you know.
Because I was at work. I was at work
Yeah.
on the 31st. So, of course, I avoided Senegambia.
Yeah.
And I took the Sukuta, all the way. But, of course, it meant that everybody else was avoiding
The
Senegambia. So the traffic was really quite bad.
Yeah.
But it would have been hell if I tried to drive through Senegambia.
Well, my end, the traffic was very free. I mean, I heard people complaining about Senegambia. There was a lot of traffic.
Because they put barriers.
Yes,
At a certain point, they put barriers, sort of temporary.
But for me,
barriers.
Lamin, it's easy to connect to Airport Junction,
Yeah.
straight to your gate, then to
place,
Q City. It was very easy for me.
You know. I guess if you're coming that way,
It
to
should
Q
be
City,
easy.
it's fine.
It should be
But
easy.
if you're going the other way and you had to go through Senegambia,
Yeah.
then that would have been hellish.
Yeah,
But
we also, for me, I think the fun part of it is the babies of the year.
Yeah,
Because I think everybody looks forward to, who's going to be the first, the second, or the
And
third?
I think North Bank got the first.
They got the first.
1 minute past.
Wow.
Midnight.
Yeah, and also
Okay.
I like the fact that the babies of the year this year was celebrated in grand style. You know, it's different from when the first lady would just go pop by but they were like organized
events.
There
was an event.
Yeah, and the Fatimata Barbara Foundation had a New Year's lunch for the New Year babies of the year as well. And the Q Group Foundation had really nice hampers that they distributed. I really wanted to be a mother at that point. When I saw those hampers, I'm like, this has everything in it. I want to be a baby. I want to be a mom.
Well, time it so that your child comes on the
you know, my child was born on the, is it the 30th?
Oh, of December?
Of December.
Oh.
He should have waited.
He should have waited. Wow, he should have waited.
Tell that to your wife.
Yeah.
She was like, no, I'm not waiting.
Exactly. So, I mean, today on the program, we'll be taking a look at things that happened.
Yeah, I've got a list of some of the things that happened in the
previous years, especially
just to kind of help us
2024.
along.
And you know what we're looking forward to in 2025.
Okay. I think normally we always start with current affairs and forgetting sports. So while, you know, I was like,
we'll look back on sports.
We need to look back on sports, or even start with sports, because we tend to forget about it at the end, and then we will just get to wrap up.
I know most of our viewers too will be saying, I mean, we've not been seeing the sports wall this morning. And we'll be bringing back the sports wall and the entertainment.
Nice.
Well.
I love that.
Didn't we have some karate people recently on here?
Yes.
Yeah, so
but as in a segment that is of its own, organized. You know,
if I were to challenge you and say sports-wise, 2024, what was the big thing for the Gambia? What would you say?
Well,
just to put you on the spot.
For 2020,
the big thing, positive, not the negative.
Oh, okay, the positives.
It's Gina Bass. I mean,
and what was that?
Well, she qualifying to the Olympics.
That's one of the things. But she was also African champion in 2024.
Yes.
So let's not forget that.
Yeah.
You know. So as I said, you know, and that was one of the things. And
but although it wasn't a good one for our Scorpions, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I said start with the positives.
Start with the positives.
So let's start with Gina.
Yeah, but I think Gina generally just did well. Especially with the Olympics, considering Gambia is a very small country, infrastructure is a problem. She's challenged, even though QCell came at the latter part, you know, to provide her with some support. But now we're talking about, you know, off the track, you know, the off-track challenges.
And others. And I think Gina has inspired young women and young girls, you know, girls in the Gambia to say, that could be me. Yeah. Because was it March? She won the African Championship, 11.14, 100 meters. And, you know, for Gambia to have an African champion when, you know, that was the smallest country competing, says something you know, about her determination, about her, you know, skill as a runner. And so hopefully that will be a jumping off point, and young girls, you know, girls watching saying, oh, I want to be Gina, or I want to beat Gina's record.
And on top of that, you know, QCell organized a boot camp, a Gina boot camp. So with the Gina boot camp, she had a face-to-face conversation with these people aspiring to be the next Gina Bass. You know, I think that was a good thing.
And and she showed them and told them what it takes to get to that stage.
Yes.
The elite level stage. You know, and I think sometimes, you know, people don't realize, you know, the hard work that goes into it. You know, I remember somebody was talking once about the men's final in the Olympics. He said, you know, you train for 4 years.
And you run
to run under 10 seconds.
Wow.
You know, but think about the amount of effort that goes into that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not magic.
Well, considering, you know, I mean, when you reflect on Gina Bass' background, I mean, where she came from, and you will believe, I mean, hard work is the only thing that pays. I mean, anybody can be Gina once you put that effort, once you are determined to get there. So I'm seeing recently, I mean, a lot of young women are involved in sports. I can see that. I mean, if you go to schools, you see how they have their own group whereby.
And we see from when we did the story on the inter-school sports, the competition was fierce. There were lots of talented people there. The only thing that was a disappointment was the infrastructure. You know, the tracks they were having to run on, the pits they were having to jump on for the long jump and high jump and triple jump, you know, they really weren't of particularly great standard. And we need to up our game in terms of that if we want to produce great athletes. You know, Jamaica population is what, about the same as as Gambia, and look how many great athletes they've produced over the years. You know, so you know, it's not about size. It's about infrastructure.
Ms. Ade,
it matters a lot.
From there, let's deal with the African proverb. Then I would like to engage you on something. African
proverb, actually we've already got into the current affairs, so hopefully we'll be able to skip it till tomorrow, because we're already into the discussion. So moving on, let's take a look at...
Unless there was some fiendish reason why you wanted to... But you said you wanted to engage me on something.
Yeah, but we can just...
So what was the something?
Let's talk about... I know this might be entertainment, but let's talk about the comeback of Vybz Kartel.
Yeah, I saw he did a concert.
It was a big one.
Yeah, he did a show. He still doesn't look healthy. No. But yeah, I mean, most unlikely, you know, convicted, sentenced for murder, and then subsequently appealed all the way to the Privy Council in England, because Jamaica is not a republic yet. So even though they have a Supreme Court, if you want to appeal a case that goes to the Jamaica Supreme Court, you can take it to the Privy Council, which sits in England. In fact, it's just around the corner from where my office used to be. And that's what his lawyers did, and he won his case, and he was released, and it was amazing. I mean, this is a guy who, having served all those years in prison, was he in 13 years?
13 years.
Was still putting out records every month.
And you know, surprisingly, he said he was doing it using his telephone.
The telephone, yes.
His mobile phone.
Yeah, mobile phone.
And he was doing hit songs.
They would send him the beats, and he would listen to the beats, compose the song, send it back with the vocal, and the producer in the studio would put it together. And he had hit after hit after hit whilst he was incarcerated. Some people objected to it because of the seriousness of the charge and the sentence. It was a murder.
I didn't celebrate it when he was out, you know.
Well, he was found not to have been guilty. So.
Yeah, I did celebrate it anyway.
I certainly know somebody in our office who celebrated. Nearly lost his mind. He was screaming, so like, Vybz Kartel. You know, but yeah, he's out, and now, but he, like you said, he didn't look particularly healthy. But he did a big show recently. Thousands were there. And we've seen it with others. When Buju Banton was released, he served time in America on a drugs charge. He'd been caught in a sting operation. He got huge crowds turned out for him, and his career has resumed. He's already released one album, which has been a hit.
We can see how even the African music is flying to high heights. You
taking over the world.
A lot of artists from the sub-region also attended. Even, is it the guy from Ghana? He attended.
Sarkozy. Is it Sarkozy?
I can't remember his name.
Maybe
but
Sarkozy.
There was a Ghanaian artist that attended that event.
The Vybz one? Right.
He did a very good collab.
So, gentlemen, let me draw your attention back to Gambia.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why we veered off into that.
Where we're talking about issues that happened in 2024 and how we can move ahead as a country. So one of the big news in 2024 also has to do with the fact that the law banning FGM was actually maintained. It was it sparked a big national discussion. You know, it was a huge discussion. Community leaders were involved, religious leaders. The debate was heated, and then eventually it was voted to be maintained. But I mean, organizations, women-led organizations, will still tell you that it is still a challenge for them, even though the law is there.
The battle is still on, because there are communities where it still goes on. And the Gambia being Gambia, it's all right having laws on the statute books and so on. And as they've said, there are people who are willing to challenge it, and there are people who are willing to defend those who have been taken to court and found guilty and pay their fines. So, for me, you know, I said when we were discussing it on the year in review, I think the battle is still on. Others thought that it was won, but I don't think the battle is won yet. Yes, it was not repealed, which would have made the Gambia the first country where such a law was repealed. But because people are still practicing it, there'll always be this fight, this kind of ideology. And what was interesting, of course, when people tried to make it a religious matter, there were religious people on both sides of the argument, which tells you that it's not clear-cut.
Yeah.
So, it's the battle is still on, and it still needs to be fought by those who oppose it, because if they relax, it could slowly creep back. Easily.
Well, I think this needs to be an ongoing process. I mean, it's not just, okay, it's a law and, you know, the Gambia bans it at some point, but still, there should be more sensitization.
Right.
There should be more talking. You know, we just don't have to park it as a law, but also what are we going to do to engage the public?
I think what I've said to people is, because, you know, I was one of the people who worked with a charity that was against it in the UK. You have to engage those who are proponents of it, those who support it, because it's a deeply held belief, whether they believe it's religious or cultural. So you can't just say, oh, your views don't matter.
True.
Because, you know, this is something that
the approach is very significant.
So it's how you approach people, and that's how.
True.
So one of the things that we used to do was a thing called I Am My Sister's Keeper. And we would go to barber shops that were frequented by African men in London. We would bring them some fried chicken. Whilst those who were waiting to have their haircuts, we would engage them and ask them, are you from a country where this is practiced? Do you believe in it? And so on. And why do you believe in it? And so on. And we kind of, you know, and sometimes you'd end up changing somebody's mind. Somebody who said, oh, I would never marry a woman unless she's cut. And then you'd ask why, and then you'd engage in it. But it's not about you are wrong kind of thing. The minute you do that, even if you were about to convince them, they would take, well, you know.
You know, the problem that we have, I mean, most people, indigenous people, are like, okay, these people, they want to impose this on us. And they are sitting with anger. You understand?
That's it. That's
so that anger, how are you going to make sure? I mean, you talk to them in a way that will not even try to cause more damage.
And that's the approach. It has to be a gradual approach. And you know, all over the world we have, you know, instances of cultural practices that are harmful, and they've been various ways. In some instances, they pass just a law banning it. So I've mentioned this many times. In India, widows used to be burned on the funeral pyre with their husbands. The British were the ones who came and stopped it initially, and there was a lot of opposition to it. You know, you'd be alive and your husband's dead, and they would take you and put you on top of the and burn you.
Alive?
Of course. Alive.
So
but people defended it, saying it's our tradition. Who are these Brits to come? But now nobody thinks that's a tradition that should carry on. But it had carried on for centuries in India. For centuries.
Also in 2024, we saw the Rent Act also come up as a discussion. Just to wrap up on laws for 2024. Actually, before we wrap up on laws, no, we have something else bigger. No, I mean on laws.
On
we
laws.
have another
ATI
one bigger.
Law is big.
Yes,
so
I
don't
forgot
wrap up
about
on
that.
laws, please.
But obviously, we cannot take a look at all of them within this 1 hour. But the rent law, obviously, it's also huge. But going into 2025 already, we see media platforms reporting on individuals, reporting instances where landlords are not actually respecting it, and that the law is there, but it's not clear how it is going to be implemented. Is it even clear to tenants the mechanism to report when issues as such happen? Because, for example, I saw a case where the landlord just came and said there's a 20% increment, there's a 10%, there's a 30% increment, and, you know, without justification and all of that. And landlords will even tell you, I don't need to justify to you when I'm increasing my rent.
I was about to say.
That's what they'll tell you. If you don't want it, pack your stuff and go.
Someone else will come and rent.
And what happened is, with this individual, few days later, the lawyer actually wrote a notice for the tenant, informing him that he needs to, you know, be out of the premises within a month or two or something. So, I mean, the advocacy has to be out as to how we need to handle this.
The problem that I have with the rent thing, I mean, since we started talking about it, Honorable Madi Jobate pushed for this to be a law.
Yes,
it is. I am now still seeing people posting 6 months advance.
Madi Cisse, it's not Madi Joba, the National Assembly member for Serekunda West.
Yeah, so Cisse. I'm still seeing 6 months advance. And, you know, those are the things that...
You mean they're requesting 6 months advance.
You know, so it's like people are not still abiding by the law.
This is Gambia, as I said earlier, in relation to something else. We have all these laws, they look nice on paper. But how many of us follow the law in all sorts of ways? And this is just another, sad to say. The law is there, and what the landlord will say that if you don't want to do the 6 months, somebody else will come and do it. So on your way, please.
Yes.
You know? If you took every one of those cases to court, there'll be 1,000 cases. You know, I know somebody who's been involved in a court case since I landed in the Gambia. It is still not resolved. So, you know, take it to court and you'll be waiting 10 years later for a resolution or a judgment. So, you know, and the landlords know that people, you're going to spend, are you really going to spend money to take me to court? Supposing you don't win. So
what's going to happen?
So they know that.
They know this.
They know that people are not, and that's what that's the game
then
they play.
We are not serious with our
we're not.
Our
I think I saw a few suggestions from people, because now we already understand our problem as a country, which is the fact that we do not implement laws. The laws are already there. So it's about how can we, you know, bring up things that will ensure that the law is not even supposed to be implemented in any case, because the citizens will be protected. Social protection mechanisms such as building affordable housing, you know, for citizens. The Minister for Lands, Honorable Amaba, this was something that he mentioned. In 2024. So I don't know if they have funding from somewhere, or how do they plan to go about building these affordable homes, and which individuals are going to be targeted. Is it going to be women-led households, or how is it going to be?
I can tell you what they could do. I mean, in Rwanda, because I was kind of remotely involved in this, they decided to build affordable housing for public servants.
Right.
And it's just interesting you mentioned this, because just last week I contacted a friend who relocated to Rwanda 8 years ago, and I said, "Oh, how's it gone?" He said, "Oh, you know, fantastic. You know, the bond, there was a bond, a diaspora bond that was raised, and $10 million was raised, and that was used to build the housing." He said, well, many of the civil servants, what they've done is they've now rented out those properties.
So at the end of the day, it's beyond the government.
It's meant to be affordable housing for public servants.
And you rent it out.
And now he said a lot of them are rented out. He said scientifically, I don't have the exact figures. He said, but he's talking
a huge
about
percentage.
A huge percentage are rented out. So even though it's meant to be,
So that is an unfortunate thing. So at the end of the day, we just go round and round and round, have the same discussions. People are not going to change their attitudes. So it becomes challenging.
Well,
so the ATI law.
You know, when laws are implemented, I mean, when we have laws, I mean, okay, everybody should follow them. But it's left to the citizens to take that challenge and make sure, okay, nobody's watching, but it's a law. I need to do this thing.
We have laws about not driving at night without your lights, headlights.
People don't even care.
But that's irresponsibility.
You could count 100 cars a day, any night.
That's irresponsibility.
Without being exaggerating
you know,
the matter. Because on Bertel Harding, if I from here on a 20-minute journey can count 15 cars in one day, well, what about all the other roads?
And
that's just on one road.
Reminds me, I mean, a lot of accidents, I mean, this past week, even today, I saw another lady that I pass by every morning when I'm coming to work. She died yesterday in a car crash. You know, so it's another one that happened around
Kasuma Junction.
Exactly.
That one I passed.
And of course,
I passed that one on
another one happened
at Sukuta.
I think Brikama end.
Another one happened at Sukuta, because when I was going home on Saturday around 9:30, whatever it was, I passed one at the Kasuma. That one was 3 vehicles had somehow smashed into each other, and you could see by the damage that the force and the speed that they must have been going.
When you are in a vehicle, you I mean, sometimes I fear.
What
about if a vehicle
there's so many reckless people?
It's sad.
And then when I got to the Sukuta traffic light, there was another one, because I was on a single spot and it's been a long time since this has been the case. For 15 minutes, my car didn't move because the police had stopped us. And then when I got there, one of these huge tourist coaches had crashed into a car at the roundabout. And so obviously they were trying to make sure traffic went around it. And that made it really, so that was just, there were two within, short, less than a mile apart, or just over a mile and a bit apart, and on the same road. So a lot of accidents.
Yeah,
and
so
like I said, people don't adhere to.
We can finally wrap up on laws, because of the ATI law, like you mentioned, came the formation. For a very long time, there was a lot of noise about having it actually up and running, because without a commission, it can't be up and running. Commissioners were employed.
They've been sworn in. They've got offices.
Yeah, the secretariat is up and running.
Equipped, and now we wait for the first requests to be, you mentioned Mahdi Jobate. Mahdi Jobate circulated an email some time ago about, I think he made about 6 or 7 requests. Yeah. And he's waiting for those requests to see. So people are following those with interest to see that now that the commission is up and running, because it said that from January they should be ready to be
start
able to
receiving
respond.
requests.
Not just receive, but to respond.
To the general public.
In a position to respond, and it looks like that's the case. But if I were to say to you both, what do you think was the biggest event in the Gambia last year? You've mentioned ATI, you've mentioned this.
I've mentioned FGM for me.
So you've mentioned MGM. What about you? What would you say?
The biggest event? The OIC.
Exactly. Yeah. You haven't even mentioned OIC.
That's the OIC for us. Who can see all these developments, all this infrastructure, the road projects, the Sadauda Kairaba Conference Center, and not talk about it?
That's it. OIC.
And the convergence of leaders in this country.
I mean, we didn't get the number we wanted.
Janaba was a protocol.
Because of being a student.
Nice.
And I was,
that was nice.
and I was part of the media committee, so doing the coordination. It was exciting. It was, but it came, and it was good because, it had been postponed twice when Gambia should have hosted it. And, people were saying, things are not ready, let's postpone it again. As the president said at the press conference in in April rather, just on, about a month before the conference itself, the OIC, he said, people were asking us, we'll take it off your hands, and so you can do it better next year or the year after. He said, no, we're ready, go ahead.
Let's just go ahead and get it done.
And it went ahead.
And it happened. And
it happened. And
the development also, it comes with
some like the Iranian didn't come, but others, there were many who didn't come. But it came and it went. And as you said, infrastructural developments that came on the back of it, we're all benefiting from it. None more so, of course, than Berkeley Harding Highway. Then also the big Operation Clear the Roads.
Yes.
Was
worth mentioning.
Because that was another thing. We talk about laws, we talk about, people not obeying the laws. As of December, it was still going on because people were going back to where they'd been cleared. And this is the thing about, you said we have a part to play. We, the citizens, and we do. We do have a part to play.
Well, even little things we cannot control, Mr. Ade.
It's a challenge.
A dustbin will be stationed somewhere and you won't throw your whatever you want to do in the bin, you throw it around.
True.
So
there was the Madrasa Education Survey that was done by Mohammed Loom.
He was supposed to be invited here last week, but unfortunately he got sick to talk about the whole validation process.
He came on Monday again.
But
we couldn't. One day was the next day.
But probably next week or this week he will be.
Actually, I was super excited about it when I saw Imam Babali attended, because I think they're using some of the Islamic scholars who have been through both education to actually come and inspire the whole process.
He's a qualified engineer.
Exactly.
So, he was able to talk about his experience and say, you can be both. And interestingly, I was watching something yesterday, the libraries of Timbuktu, and it was mentioning the fact that, at independence, they realized that there were lots of people who were learned in Islamic scholarship, but as an independent nation, they didn't have engineers. They didn't have doctors.
Becomes a challenge.
And so, they tried to kind of make that transformation in Mali to say, yes, it's good to have thousands of Islamic scholars, but we also need thousands of engineers, doctors, and so on, structural engineers, if we're going to be independent as a nation and guide our own destiny. So that was it. So of course in Senegal, Diomaye Faye, another big thing. So there's a lot happened.
I think also locally we had a cabinet reshuffle. The likes of Dr. Cissé came into government. There were changes in the Ministry of Tourism. A lot of changes actually happened along the way. I think, do we have cabinet reshuffles yearly? No?
It can happen anytime.
It can happen, but I mean, not as in written in the constitution or something, but I mean, since Barrow came, there've been quite...
There have been a few.
Almost
every year
reshuffles
that we've
seen.
So there's a new MOPSI.
Yes.
There's a new minister
There's a new minister recently all of that.
Yeah.
And also, I think it is important that we draw our attention to the fact that the ECOWAS has now agreed to have an independent court to try individuals of human rights violations.
In the Gambia, you mean?
I mean in the Gambia.
Yeah.
Yes, 2024. Gambia, obviously, for crimes committed. I think that is also welcome news. Although when you go online, you see mixed reactions, because there are still individuals who believe that someday Yahya Jammeh is just going to appear in the Gambia and everything is going to be okay. They still do not understand that. He's in exile, he's there, and he's going to be there, and he's going to have to go to court.
Absolutely.
It's very unfortunate when I see some of these comments due to lack of understanding.
Well, at some point you will hear a lot of things. I mean, he is the best man for this country. Let him come back and, take over this country.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
Where? I mean, the man is being accused.
That boat has sailed. It will be like saying, let Charles Taylor go back to Liberia.
Exactly.
It's never going to happen.
Well, even Jammeh himself, he knows. So I mean, those are just words.
It's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
So he needs to go through the right, proceedings.
Yeah.
I mean, to know whether he's guilty or not guilty.
Exactly.
Before
beyond our borders, there are some big news in the region. Obviously, the big one was the Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger opting to get out of ECOWAS.
Yes.
Next door, of course, in Senegal, you had Diomaye Faye being sworn in as president.
Yeah.
And, been some quite radical changes. I mean, they've now got oil, wealth, and they want that to transform the country. So they came up with this 2050 vision, which is a 25-year vision. Normally, politicians and governments come with 5 or 10-year plans, but they've come up with a 25-year plan, so it's quite ambitious, and it will be interesting to see whether they can.
I'm also seeing a lot of things happening in Senegal, even the foreign military.
French.
Yes, the French military. I can see they are now going back.
They've asked them to leave. There's
Yeah.
not that many. There are only 300 French troops there, but they've asked them to leave. Other countries have as well, and that's the kind of thing that you're seeing happening across, because when they took power and they talked a lot about sovereignty, some of their own supporters were saying, well, how sovereign are we if we're allowing foreign troops on our soil? Why are they here? And they've always said, it's to help African countries fight the kind of jihadist threat in the Sahel. So they need to be close to that region for that. But, they've now asked them to leave. So by the end of the year, 2025, they'll be gone completely. So it's a gradual withdrawal. It's not get out next week type of thing. So,
and I also think 2 major events that happened is the COP29 as well as the FOCAC.
Azerbaijan.
Yes, because to start with the FOCAC, for example, all the African leaders were actually present.
You better tell our people what FOCAC is.
It's the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, and we had African leaders from across the world gather in Beijing to have discussions on
businessmen.
Technology, and businessmen for the Entrepreneurs Forum, talk about technological advancement, agriculture, health, and you name it. And President Xi Jinping came up with his agenda to help. I think, for me, the one that actually really caught my attention is the issue of building the capacity of teachers, understanding that education is very important, building the capacity of teachers and ensuring that there is scholarships for TVET, like you mentioned, engineering, fisheries, and all of these areas actually need people to be, especially in Gambia, where we lack engineers. You would always talk about the fact that we have a lot of lawyers and others, but we
lawyers,
need
accountants,
individuals
but not structural
in STEM.
engineers.
We need individuals in STEM. So the FOCAP was quite impactful that we had all these leaders from across the world, because I mean the amount of support that China is giving to African countries is really, really
So you were
huge.
in China. What was your big takeaway from the 4 months you were there, or several takeaways for you, both kind of personally and professionally, really?
I mentioned this, but you were in here.
I wasn't here.
Yeah, but I think professionally, it's about their work ethic. You know, they're very ethical. They're very productive with the work that they do.
Right.
Before I went there, I thought I was extremely hardworking till I've been there, and I see the way they work. Very ethical, very disciplined individuals, and they're very patriotic as well. You know, it's not about government this, government that. It's about what they think about their country and how much love that they have for their country, and also, you know, some of the habits that have changed, my eating habits, you know, and all of that. So it was both impactful personally and professionally. And it's a very competitive society. Sometimes I look at myself and I feel like I'm not challenged. I wake up every single day and do the same thing. I wake up every single day, come to QTV, read the news, write my stories,
and go
do
home.
the same thing every single day. For the past 8 years, apart from the private work that I do as a businesswoman, is the fact that I do the same thing every day. In China, there's it's competitive. You always find a reason to improve yourself. You always find a reason to do more, different from, you know, our society.
So now, instead of doing one article for me a day,
no, it's not about the
do
article.
2 or 3.
No. It's
different
not about
ones.
the article.
Human interest ones.
Not necessarily.
Different
It's not about the article. It's about
Different
maybe
stories.
not even doing stories at some point.
But when
balancing
But
it.
you're saying that. But I mean, when I watch CGTN, I see the same people every day.
You do, but what I'm trying to
So they're doing
explain,
what
what
you're
I'm
doing.
trying to explain is that it's competitive.
Maybe
There's
it's
a reason.
competitive.
Okay, let me
maybe
explain.
it's
We
the
know
work
it's competitive.
ethics.
No, it's not
Probably.
even about the work
Probably
ethic.
the
It's
work
not even
ethics
about the
general.
work ethic. It's about you and how you see yourself as an individual. In Gambia, you go to offices and people do not see the need to improve themselves. People do not see.
That's a bold statement. I mean, there are some people who,
in
when
some
they're in the
instances.
because there are some people in the office. Yes, they're doing their work, but they might be online doing some research,
They might
doing
be
some
doing
I'm not
Training
saying
training and so on.
everybody,
So,
but what I'm trying to explain is I've lived in Gambia forever, and I have friends, I have family, I have co-workers, I chat with people, and when I do, I can tell people's concepts. You know, sometimes the Gambian, not in every instant, but the Gambian sometimes can be very content. I have a reason to say this. The reason is because, for example, I work at QTV and I do thousands of other things outside as a human being. Sometimes people would say, oh, we think Jenaba is very greedy. I've heard statements like that because she wants to be everywhere. She's doing everything. That is because Jenaba is not content in a good way with what she's doing because she wants to open her arms and embrace other things. So that is quite different from those societies where there's nothing like pointing at you as being greedy because it is okay to go for everything. Different from a society where
I mean, I was reading an article
on
DW about China over the weekend, and he was talking about the millions of graduates who can't find jobs, and so they're doing menial jobs, as you said. It's very competitive.
Very competitive society.
I think when you look at our society today and previously, you can see how the youths are hungry for change. A lot of them are doing entrepreneurship.
You think youths have never been hungry for change?
They've been hungry, but opportunities are now created. You can see a lot of things. Jenaba just mentioned it. She works here, but she got her other things. You can see how
you work here and you got your other things as well.
When I close, I want to do other things.
Exactly.
You understand? So gradually it's coming, although at a slow pace. But I believe we would be there. You know, considering where China is from. I mean, those of you that read about China, you know how they started the Chairman Mao thing until today.
Exactly.
You understand?
And I've said this many times. Growing up in the 1960s, if you had said to me or to anybody in the West that China would be as it is and where it is today,
you wouldn't believe.
They would have laughed at you.
Yes.
That's how remarkable the change has been in China. That is how remarkable. The fact that they have gone from there to being the world's 10th largest economy to the 2nd in this span.
They've got to a stage whereby I mean, manufactured in China, coupled in California.
For example, I've been to I've been to Xi'an in China. Xi'an is just 20 years old. The whole Xi'an, and it's one of the most beautiful cities in China. So about the COP29, for me, while I was away monitoring things, it was quite disappointing with the COP29, considering the fact that there was an investigative report where actually a journalist did an investigative report and found out that actually Azerbaijan was using this COP to actually market.
Well, one of the ministers was, yes, yes.
Unfortunately,
but, I mean, because he was he was the oil minister and he was trying to do oil contracts.
Yes, and unfortunately,
look, the president
during the COP29,
and the president of Azerbaijan, when he took, I mean, he annoyed a lot of people in the West, but he was being honest. He said, "Our country has benefited from oil wealth, and we consider this a gift from Allah." Look, they can scream all they want. All of these countries that were screaming, they're also oil-producing countries.
Yeah.
America, Saudi, and so on. You know, and he's saying that without oil, we would have not developed the way our country has developed, and that's all I'm saying. You know, but yes, I mean, this guy was making oil deals
during the COP period.
Was caught on camera that, you know, when you come here, you know, you can sign a deal for you know, oil.
When you are supposed to discuss transitioning to renewable. Exactly. And a lot of activists, even before that, boycotted completely the Stop COP28 because a lot of them felt like the host was not supposed to host it at all. Because it should have been taken to a completely different country.
They are big oil producers.
Yes.
You know,
but you know, who can afford to host it, you know?
That's the thing.
But Mr. Ade, this is telling you how serious are we when we put
our
our
minister
gatherings
was not
together.
Happy. Our minister who went was not happy because you know, she felt that there'd been a lot of talk as usual and very little action, and that's been the kind of criticism.
Especially this COP29.
So COP29 was
the action was very limited.
Is limited, and they talk big again. But you know, how much action is there going to be? Probably very little. So the next one, I suspect and expect the boycott will be even bigger than it was for this one. So
because already
people are, you know,
I have this feeling that gradually the COP is just going to phase out. Like
I'm also having that
gradually
feeling
because what is the essence at some point?
The previous years. And, you know, this
Azerbaijan they're talking about people not flying and this and that, and yet you all fly to a destination. Why not have a Zoom COP? You know, like...
Well, that wouldn't be impactful, Mr. Ade.
You know, because, like, seriously, you know, when COVID happened, everybody took to Zoom and meetings went on and the world did not collapse. Nobody died because we were on Zoom, not flying face-to-face. They can do that again, and they should do that.
No, but the COP didn't happen virtually because the COP really, and also we have to understand that with the COP there are certain discussions that have to be done closed door.
Look, you can still have closed doors because
you
can have Zooms where no one else is.
You can record it. I mean, anything can happen. You can use your phone, record it. But the other hand, when you're getting into a closed door, you're going to be searched. You can't get in with anything. So with the COP, there are certain sensitive informations where you have to have this closed door.
Yeah, but you know, how serious are they? Because if you're talking about, you know, people flying less and less, and then you have hundreds of thousands of people flying to a particular destination, it defeats the whole purpose. It's kind of counterintuitive, you know. It's like, oh, you know, we're trying to cut down on emissions with planes and so on, and yet everybody's flying there. So, you know.
Let's see.
But generally, I think QTV, you know, as a television, we had a very good year. Just to wrap this up, we had a very good year in 2024. Programs were happening. The news also was happening, even though we have a very, very small team. We covered significant events across the country. We covered the OIC, where, you know, extensively. We also covered ECOWAS events extensively with Aliou Cissé as an individual who would travel across the African continent to bring us information about what is happening in the ECOWAS region. You know, we also have our other colleagues who would travel and send reports. So I think in 2024 it was just beyond locally, but also our colleagues traveling outside to make sure that we capture international news.
You were in China.
Yes.
We had Zainab Chow in Azerbaijan.
Yes. We also had Esonyasi, who went to
Dubai.
To Dubai,
you know. Gach was also in
Germany, was
Germany
it?
at some point.
Was it Germany?
Yeah.
Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, he went for a sports event where he was also able to report for us. So I think
it's
generally
all about connecting, networking.
The team is growing.
You know,
the team is growing. You know,
at one point you wanted to mention just the Scorpions and their non-performance in 2024
for the AFCON qualifier.
Failed to qualify.
AFCON qualifier.
Yeah, because I'm sure people would want us to talk about that because it's such a big part of it.
Well, I mean, we don't have to boil our hearts again, but still we can talk about it.
No, I mean...
for me, the whole thing, you know, I think about the coach all the time because people start pointing fingers at the coach. I mean, he's not good for the country. I don't know. What do you
Jonathan McKinstry. There's a lot of positivity when he took over because Gambians have always said that they wanted somebody who would play attacking football, somebody who would only pick players who were playing for their club sides and not, Tom Samfier used to pick players who were no longer playing for their club sides but were what he termed trusted players. You know, he would pick trusted players because they'd never let him down. Well, the new coach came in, said he wasn't going to do that anymore. Unless you were playing regularly, you wouldn't get in the team. Okay, he did that, and now we failed to qualify. People said Tom was lucky. He got a lot of criticism. And now you got rid of Tom, you got what you wanted. Tom's going to AFCON, and we're not.
Which team is Tom coaching now?
Mali.
You know. So that's the thing, but I think football today
he might rub it in by winning.
There should be efforts and a little bit of luck as well.
Yeah,
you know, at some point. When I don't think the coach also played bad football. You know, with the hype and energy that he got when he was coming in.
You mean the new coach?
The new coach.
McKinstry. No, they played good football. I mean, you're right. Sometimes luck plays a giant part in it. But I think we'd become a bit complacent because we'd qualified for successive AFCONs. We almost thought it was our right to just turn up and qualify. But it's been tough. It's been really tough. And we'll be back to where we were before, watching everybody else have fun.
Yeah.
You know, when we should have been at the party.
So, moving into 2025, Mr. Ade, you're the head of the news department. What should the general public look forward to?
Well, I've said that we had a meeting. I don't think you were around, or were you there when I had a meeting last week?
No.
And I said to the colleagues that 2025 should be the year of human interest stories for the news. So, if your colleague Lolly is watching, I shocked her because I had a list of 25 that I had drawn up
for us
for 2025 that I would do or I would give to somebody in the team to do.
Yeah.
Because I think amongst other things, one of the big things that's going to happen this year is 60th anniversary of independence.
Yeah.
In February, it's only just over a month away, and then in September it will be the 60th anniversary of the Gambia becoming a UN member. So the 18th of February, 1965, our flag was hoisted at the UN.
That's
building.
huge.
So those are two big commemorations that we should. But the biggest thing should be human interest stories. And, I know we do a lot of what we call in the third world development news, workshops, seminars, conferences.
Yeah.
But we should do them differently and better. So, we don't think the audience enjoys just seeing people at a conference talking to people.
Yeah.
And I always use this analogy. If somebody's talking about we're going to improve farming techniques, show me some of the techniques that are going to be improved on. Don't show me people in a room talking about it.
Yeah.
It's about fishing, the same. Show me what it is that they're trying to impact. So the year of human interest stories.
And 2025, please.
More interesting and better.
Please, your bumper for the break, make it short. Just We'll be right back after. Oh, now.
Francis, are you listening?
We'll be right back.
This is one of Francis loves to talk about
We'll
this.
be right back after the break. It shouldn't be the starting of the news. It should just be like 5 seconds.
Hey, man,
and come back.
15 seconds.
15 seconds. I've been seeing that, and whenever I see it, it angers me. I mean, sometimes I'll be sitting in the house and be like, Mr. Ade, what's happening?
Control room people, are you listening?
Yeah, that's on them.
Those are things that we should also.
So, how about you? Anything innovative going into 2025 in your work?
Well, I'm looking forward to more challenges.
Okay.
You know.
I like that.
Yes. When Jainaba, I'll be happy to say, when I was coming on this morning,
yes,
you know, for me, I was more of an entertainment guy.
Right.
You know, when I was coming on this morning, at some point, you know, I transformed.
Yes.
You understand? So now, when you even take me to the entertainment side,
it's weird.
I don't fit there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
do both.
Yeah. But it's kind of awkward to me.
To you.
At some point. So I believe there'll be a lot of improvement. There'll be a lot of learning. There'll be a lot of, you know. I'm looking forward to great things, inshallah.
Nice.
What about you?
I think it's the same for me as well. I'm not limiting myself in 2025 because, for example, previously as an event host.
You don't strike me as somebody who limited themselves ever.
But
so
yeah, that's true. But I'm not. I'm even further not limiting myself because you know why? In 2025, within this 2025, end of 2024, I started hosting weddings.
Oh.
I never thought I could host weddings and it would go well.
MC?
Why not?
No, I just never tried it because I just take myself as the news person, the serious person. But I came to realize that I'm as versatile as I did not know. So I started hosting weddings and it's going well. So I feel like I'm not going into hardcore entertainment because it's not my area. But I just feel like I fit in every place of the puzzle. Not entertainment.
So how many weddings have you hosted?
I've done two already, and these two went, you know, perfectly.
I've done like 100.
But I never, actually for me, previously, when people used to approach me, I'll be like, no, I can't do weddings. I've never done it. That's like limiting myself, not trying it. So I tried the first one. It wasn't 100%. But when I did the second one, when I learned from my mistakes.
And were these people that you knew or they just approach you because
the one is I knew and the other one was recommendation.
The reason I asked that is because one of the ones I did, and it's one of the ones that sticks in my mind very, very vividly. I didn't even know the couple. All the other ones I did were people I know. I knew. But this couple, they'd gone to a wedding where I had emceed, and it was 2 months before their own wedding. Yeah. And so at the end, they came and said, "Oh, you know,
we want you." Yeah.
So I did this. And it's one of the.
Well, it's wonderful. When you are versatile, you know, and you can connect with the people.
Yes.
You would be able to do a lot of. I believe, Jainaba, there are things that you can do that you believe you'll not be able to do.
I do everything nowadays. You know? I like money.
So the thing is, do everything to get everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
it's good because, as you said, you're broadening the scope of you're kind of jumping outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Because you've never done weddings before and you thought, this is not something I can do. But then you've done it and you think,
I can do it now. So, you know, get me your wedding bookings, you guys. Get me your wedding bookings. I'm open for them. So that's it. I did not set any New Year's resolutions. I don't have a vision board.
Don't limit yourself.
I'm just opening it up and just allowing things to flow and happen. Whatever comes my way, I'll take it.
Handle them.
I'm not going to cancel any present opportunity for what I'm not sure of. That's just the goal for me. And inshallah, God help us all in 2025.
Absolutely. Just be positive.
And good health. Good health. We need good health because, you know, without good health, we won't be able to do a lot of things. We are using this opportunity to send our condolences to the National Center for Arts and Culture. We lost Saini Mcc, you know, who was a very vibrant young person, very active. You know, she was literally a born activist with FGM and all of this. So we are sending our condolences to her family and the NCAC. So like I said, we pray for good health because without good health, we can't be that activist. We can't be that banker. You know, we can't be the doctor or whoever that we want to become. So yeah, we are hoping for a successful 2025. Till we come your way tomorrow with another interesting program. Enjoy the rest of your day.